What's up, guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Chello the Fashion Fairy. If you're stopping by for the first time, you're welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, you're welcome back. If you want to learn how I made these dolphin shorts, definitely keep watching. See you in my tutorial.
Every single day I'm gonna make something.
Hello, guys.
That's my way. Every single day I'm gonna make something great. That's my
So guys, these are the measurement parameters that we'll be using for this dolphin shorts. You have our waist, our hip, crotch depth, crotch width, and of course the length of our shorts. So from the waist, I'm working with it's waist 29 inches. So we're going to also need our waist to hip, which is 8 inches, our hip divided by 4, and so on. So I'll be leading you through this measurements as I go along. So for this top line, I gave about 2.5 inches, and this is just going to serve as where I'll be running my elastic through. So you can also make that 2 inches if you want. So this is my waist to hip measurement of 8 inches, and I'm measuring from the waistline all the way to the 8 inches. So this will be my waist to hip measurement. So the crotch depth I'm working with is 10 inches. So if you want more ease, you can add about 0.5 inches to this measurement, but I really did not require it. So my crotch depth measurement, I got it by dividing my hip divided by 4, and whatever I got became my crotch depth measurement. So this is my crotch depth line, and I'm also going to go ahead and measure the length of this short. Now I've already added the allowance that I'll be needing to turn it over. I initially wanted a length of 12 inches, but I decided to add ½ inch to it so that I will be able to hem the bottom part. So here you go. So the calculation that I have there. So the next step is to impute my hip divided by 4 plus 1 inch of ease, and that is exactly what I'm marking on my waistline, on my hip line, and of course my crotch depth line as well. So this is the measurement that I'll be using to form a box just up to my crotch depth line. So the next thing I did was to put in my crotch extension, and to do this I divided by hip width. The hip width I'm using of 11 inches. Remember, I divided 40 by 4 and I added 1 inch, so that 11 inches divided by 4, and I got my crotch extension of 2 3/4 inches, or 2.75. so here I'm just marking 1.5 diagonally so that I will get a good curve. So with my curve, I'm just going to connect it from the crotch extension all the way to that line right there. So I usually do this so that the curve will not be so much. So I'll just draw the line down, and to get the middle part, actually get the middle part of my short. So for here, we're going to be using 2 inches in order to curve this out. Remember, dolphin shorts are not regular shorts, so by the sides you're supposed to curve them. So this is how to make sure you're not curving it so much. So this is what we have at the end of the day, and we're almost done with our front pattern, like so. So we'll just label that and we're good to go. So going over to the back, please don't be surprised you have that paper tape there. I actually filmed without knowing my camera wasn't rolling. I was just trying to show that if you wanted to detach the 2.5 inches from this pattern in order to add it separately, you could do that. So this is me showing you that you can actually detach this part, add your allowance for joining, and join it back to your shorts if you want to. So going over to the back quickly, we're just going to use the front to make out our back pattern. So now that I've placed it on another paper, I'm marking exactly 2 inches away from my center front. So I'm just going to measure 2 inches all the way down, and this will serve as the allowance for joining for both front and the back patterns. So just know that all the allowances you'll be needing to make this dolphin shorts will already be added by the time we're done with this pattern. So I measured 2 inches away, and on my crotch depth I measured 3 inches at that point. Sorry, my camera cut this off, but I measured 3 inches away from that point so that I wouldn't have any tightness there. So I'm just going to draw the lines and join everything together, forming a straight line here. I'll just leave that middle part just a bit to connect the lines together so that it will be easy for me to measure from that point. So for the back, I'll measure my crotch extension, the original one for the front, which we got, remember we got 2 3/4. So that's what we're going to be measuring from this point in order to raise the back up. This actually prevents your innerwear from showing when you are sitting down. So we're just going to use a straight line to connect it all the way to the side front. So the allowances will just be going to one side. We're not going to be adding any more allowances to this short. So I'm just bringing the line down, and I'm just going to trace out this front as well. But before I do that, I'm going to do the same thing I did to the front, sorry, marking diagonally 1.5 inches, and I'm just going to connect it from that 3 inches extension at the crotch line, and I'm just going to connect it back to the box just like we did for the front pattern. So this is what we have so far. I'm just going to trace out the front pattern, using the front pattern to trace out the back. So I'm just going to follow the line all the way to the other side of the front, that's the center front. Make sure you take your time to trace everything out, because once you remove the front, you cannot do the back well again. It won't align properly. So if you're working with somebody with a hip of 42 to 48 inches her hip, please make sure you add more room. You can choose to add 1/2 inch allowance by the sides just to make sure she has enough room for movement. So remember we did 2 to 2.5 inches for the band, and we're marking exactly 2.5. I chose to use 2.5 inches for my own project, so I'm marking the 2.5 here, and this is my back pattern. I'm cutting 2 pieces, and I'm cutting 2 pieces of the front as well. So let's move, guys. We're cutting, and I can't wait to place this on the fabric and cut. I think that's my best part actually. So here we go. This fabric is beautiful, isn't it? So this is what we're going to be using for the dolphin shorts. Notice that I'm not adding any other allowance, as I already said earlier that we already added all the allowances we need to make this shorts. If you're still here, guys, kindly subscribe to my channel, like, share, and please drop a comment. Guess what? The like button is actually free of charge. Who knew? Please subscribe to my channel. That's the only way you encourage me to make more videos. So this is what we have so far for the front and for the back patterns. So I'm just going to quietly notch all these places as well. What's it called? Why am I losing words? Okay, we're just going to notch the part that we're going to attach the band to. Yeah, finally got it. So I'm just going to head over to my machine, and I'm going to start joining the pieces together. This is for the front. I'm just going to join it at that point, so the middle point as well for the back, all the way down, and I'm going to stop right there. So let me just quickly do that and come back. So I already did that, and this is what we have so far for the front and for the back. I've actually gone ahead to hem it using my interlocking machine as well. So this is the front right here. I've hemmed it. See, I told you. So this is the front. You can see that I've not joined it, so there is still open, and I've not joined it for the back as well. So we're needing bias tape and of course our 1/inch elastic band for the next step. So keep yours handy as we're going to use it very soon. So this is how I'm going to attach it. I'm going to place it like so, and sew it down. So I'm just using the pin to show you that I'll sew this part down all the way, and I'm just going to fold that over and make sure this comes to the front. So this is what I'm going to do all the way to the middle point. So this is, just follow me on this, guys. So I'm just going to stop somewhere here and leave that part open, because I'm going to have to join it to the back as well. So I'm going to do this for the front. I'm also going to do that for the back as well, all the way to the midpoint right there, and for the other side too. So I already did this, and this is what I have so far. So notice that the middle part of this is how I sewed it on the right side, because I intend to flip it over like so, and I am going to run a stitch. It's called French seam. I hope I got that right. So this is how it's going to look, and when you finish, it's going to be so neat inside. So I decided to do that. So for here, I'm going to place this over just on top of the back, and I'm going to measure about 9 inches from that waist all the way down, and that's where my stitch will stop. So it's not supposed to go all the way to the bottom, no, so that you have enough room to jog with it if you're on the beach, guys. Imagine wearing this thing on the beach and you're just wearing your bralettes, and oh wow, this will be so nice. Watch out for my next tutorial, guys. I'm going to show you how to make a set. So for here, I'm just going to fold it over, making a tunnel for my 1-inch elastic band. So putting the front on top of the back, I'm trying to join the two sides together now. Remember I said we'll be putting one on top of the other. So this is me showing you how to do that. Make sure you're using a matching thread, guys, so that it doesn't show. So we're measuring our 9 inches, and I'm just going to use my chalk to mark where I'm going to stop stitching. So I placed it over each other, and I stitched to this point, back stitched, and that's it for this side. So I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other side as well. You can see how neat it is. So this is how I expect yours to be, guys. So now that we've gotten that sorted, the next step is to create that casing for our elastic. So remember, we put 2.5 inches, so I'm going to use 1/2 inch to fold it over, and I'm going to do it all the way so that I make sure I'm taking exactly the allowance I left for this band. Smash that like button, guys, and please subscribe. Thank you. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm just going to run a stitch from one end to the other, leaving about 1 inch for me to be able to pass the elastic through the tunnel that I created. So I'm just forming that tunnel. There you go. So you can see the 1 inch that I left. Using my safety pin, I'm just going to run this elastic through. So the trick here is guys, in order to know exactly what measurement to use, whatever waist you're working with, let's say 37, you're going to remove at least 2 inches from your waist measurement in order to allow the elastic to sit firmly on your waist. So this was how I finished up the elastic inside, and I'm just going to use a stitch and run it and keep it in place. If you enjoyed this, like, share, and subscribe, guys. So this is the final look. You can use this Dolphin shorts as maybe your gym wear. You can also use it for your beach outing, rocking it with your bralette. You can also just wear it at home casually. You know what to do with it. I trust you guys. I love you so much for watching. Bye.